So I keep thinking about the spiders Jay saw, and this isn't the first time we've seen spiders in this series. Back in season 1, when Boyd was in the forest with Sarah, he walked into a giant spider web and started seeing spiders crawling all over him. One of them even bit him. Around the same time, he also saw his dead wife Abby. Now fast forward to Jay seeing those spiders himself, and this time Boyd can't see them. So what do the spiders actually symbolize and from? Spiders are usually connected to manipulation, fear, control, and being trapped. The web itself is important because webs symbolize entanglement, being stuck inside something larger that you can't escape from. That fits the town perfectly. The people in From are all trapped inside a giant web they don't fully understand, but there's another layer to it. In mythology and spiritual symbolism, spiders are also tied to fate and destiny because they weave the webs, almost like weaving timelines or stories together. That could connect directly to Julie's story walking, the repeating cycles, and the idea that the town is carefully controlling everyone's path. So maybe the spiders only appear to people who are getting close to the Pacific truth or entering another layer of the town's influence. And let's not forget, Boyd got bitten. What if the bite wasn't random? What if the spider bite mark Boyd somehow connected him to the town on a deeper level? Because after that moment, Boyd started experiencing things differently than everyone else. Another theory is that the spiders may represent the entity controlling the town itself. Think about it. A spider sits in the center of the web, it watches everything, it waits, and it manipulates movement through vibration in the web. That sounds exactly like whatever is controlling the town. The monsters, the voices, the visions, the dreams, they may all just be strands connected to one central force. And if that's true, they may actually be seeing pieces of the system that controls everything. And let's not forget the moment when Jay's younger self told him not to drink the blood, while Boyd, who we know was likely just an illusion, encouraged him to drink it. That scene means a lot more now. The little boy warned Jade by saying, "You don't get to pick and choose your memories. Now you're going to see things you don't want to see." And he was right. Because once Jade drinks the blood, he finally starts getting answers. Answers that honestly many of us already suspected. All of those people Jade has been seeing throughout the series weren't random visions. They were his reincarnations. And when the little boy says some of them and many more that suggest Jade's reincarnations go back much further than the 1800s. This cycle may have been repeating for centuries. The monsters didn't kill them, the townspeople did. Once the people learned the truth about who Jay really was, once they realized he was connected to the children calling out for help, they turned against him. First they blame him, then they hate him, and then eventually they kill him. That changes everything because it suggests the real danger in From might not just be the monsters outside at night. It might be what fear does to the people inside the town. Tabitha's situation may be even worse, because if Jade is trapped in a cycle of being blamed and being killed over and over again, then Tabitha may be trapped in a cycle of remembering everything but never being able to stop it. Or what if it's actually resentment from the Unkui children? And what if the spider webs symbolize the resentment? Think about it. Spider webs represents being trapped, connected, and stuck inside a cycle you can't escape from. Every strand in the web connects back to the center, just like every event in the From seems connected to the children. So if Jade and Tabitha are caught in the children's web, not because the children are evil, but because they were abandoned. The children keep calling out to Jade and Tabitha because in every reincarnation, they were supposed to save them, but fail. And now the web keeps pulling them back over and over again until the cycle is finally broken. So what if every time Jade or Tabitha gets closer to the truth, the town reacts because something at the center of the web realized they're getting too close? That might be why the children seem both helpful and terrifying at the same time. Part of them may want to be saved, but another part of them may resent Jade and Tabitha for leaving them trapped there for those centuries. So the little boy lures Jade into the colony house, eventually down into the basement, where there's a secret door connected to the tunnels. That door leads him to the place where the children were sacrificed. Jade even says, "Tell me how we can save the children if we already fail." And now we finally know where the children are. Not in the lighthouse, in the tunnels. And when the monsters buried Jade beneath the tomb, one of the Unkui children was right there beside him. That moment felt symbolic, almost like the child was showing Jade the truth directly. Now, yes, a lot of what Jade experienced were illusions, but there were also answers at the same time, because technically, Jade never physically left the sheriff's station. His mind was being guided somewhere else. That's why when he comes back, he immediately tells Boyd, I know how to save the children. But here's the part that really has me thinking. If the children are actually in the tunnels, then why did Victor tell Tabitha and Sarah that the boy in white said the way to save the children was through the lighthouse? That doesn't fully add up to me. Unless the lighthouse was never the destination in the first place. Maybe it was only the beginning of the journey. What if the boy in white didn't lie but instead gave an incomplete direction because Tabitha and Jay weren't ready to know the full truth yet? Or what if the boy in white has been manipulating every reincarnation this entire time? Young Victor says how to save the children through the lighthouse, but Christopher failed. Now Jade is following another path entirely, and it leads underground to the tunnels. So maybe the lighthouse and the tunnels are connected somehow, like the two parts of the same system. The lighthouse may represent knowledge or awakening, while the caves represents the real source of the sacrifice and the truth buried underneath the town. I'm starting to wonder if the boy in white is truly helping at all. Let's have a real conversation for a second, because the boy in white has been speaking in riddles the entire series. He pushed Tabitha out the lighthouse window but never explained why. Yes, it got her out of the town temporarily, but he never told her what the purpose actually was. He just acted like she was supposed to understand. Then with Victor, he tells him not to cut down the tree, but again, he never explains why that tree is important. That is a pattern. The boy in white gives instruction, but he almost never gives context. And that is suspicious to me, because if he truly wanted to help, why keep everything so vague? Why constantly force people to figure things out through suffering, visions, and half-truths? At this point, I'm starting to think the boy in white only gives enough information to keep the cycle moving forward, not enough to actually break it. Victor clearly understands that the trees matter, especially since they move. So if the boy in white told him not to cut one down, then maybe the trees are more than transportation portals. What if the trees are holding the town together? Or worse, what if they're a part of the trap? Because if the faraway trees connect timelines, memories, and reincarnations, and different versions of the town, cutting one down could potentially collapse part of the system. And maybe the boy in white doesn't want that. At some point, you have to ask, is the boy in white guiding them or leading them in circles? So we know Tabitha was having visions about the dolls, and she told Donna that they were the dolls she used to play with when she was younger. But according to Tabitha, there was a man who became angry and took the dolls away because he said they gave him nightmares. Eventually, he threw the dolls into the lake. Then one day, the man died, and according to the story, his nightmares came out of the lake. The man may have believed throwing the dolls into the lake would get rid of the nightmares, but instead he may have trapped them there, allowing them to grow stronger over time. That makes me think the lake itself might be holding on to people's pain, memories, or even manifestation of fear, almost like the water absorbs trauma and eventually releases back into the world. Now, the dolls Tabitha saw look very similar to the dolls from season 1, the ones connected to Megan. They're not exactly the same, but there are definitely similarities between them. I don't think that is a coincidence, because if the dolls are connected, it could mean the nightmares, fears, or curses and from repeat themselves across different generations, just like Jade and Tabitha reincarnation cycle. What if they're symbols of memories, trapped souls, or unfinished cycles? The fact that Tabitha says the dolls used to belong to her, but the man threw them into the lake because they caused nightmares, makes me wonder if those same nightmares keep resurfacing in different forms throughout time. And looking back at Megan in season 1, it almost feels like the show planted that clue from the very beginning. Not the exact same doll, but maybe the same pattern. Mariel tells Christy about what happened inside the ambulance. She says she can hear the screams of everyone who has died in the town. According to her, that's what being in the chamber felt like. Constant suffering, hearing the pain of people who died there. Then Sophia tells Mariel that maybe she's a prophet and that God chose her to hear the suffering. Mariel believes something ancient in the town is feeding off pain, and that even after people die, they remain trapped and never truly leave. I think Sophia is that ancient thing. There were two people in my comments who suggested that the man in yellow might be a fallen angel, and I actually agree. I meant to talk about this theory in my last video, but I didn't want to make things too complicated. I think the man in yellow may have a falling from grace, and because of that, he decided to create a world filled with pain and suffering due to what God did to him. Not to mention, the Abraham story felt very personal to Sophia. I don't want to go too deep into this theory right now, but that was my overall assumption. Also, shout out to the two people who mentioned the fallen angel theory. Then you have Henry, who goes back to the bottle because of what Victor shared with him about Miranda. And honestly, poor Victor, he looks so sad because it feels like Henry blames him. That is all I have for episode 5. Drop your theories below and let me know how would you rate this episode. Coming up next, I will be reviewing Widow's Bay episode 5 along with the new series called Cape Fear and Sugar. I'll see you in the next one.